Do you believe that wages, I'm just wondering how naive you are. You believe that the 1% will raise wages and the federal wage if we stop immigration?
They will be forced to. When you increase labor's relationship to capital, okay, and you give labor more bargaining power because you're tightening the supply of labor.
This is a very simplistic understanding of economics because you're
explain I'm wrong.
I'm telling you how you're wrong. Because you're ignoring the fact that when immigrants come into an area, they spend money. They create jobs through their presence.
About 1/5 of their monthly income leaves the country.
That's a good thing also because you don't like US aid, foreign aid. So this is the point. They create jobs. I came into this country. So far, every one of my assumptions about you has been correct. But listen to me. I am an immigrant. I'm speaking from personal experience.
Get the hell out.
I don't even like... I should get the hell out.
Yes.
Why?
I don't want you here.
Why?
Because you come here and say all this bullshit about how Americans are lazy. Why? You push your left-wing politics.
I never said Americans are lazy.
I don't know why you say this.
I never said Americans.
Oh, my Lord.
So wait.
How do you mentally... Seriously, how do you mentally prepare for that room? I mean, I was frustrated off jump, but I stuck in there, giving my moral support to you. But how do you mentally prepare yourself for such ignorance on such a scale where everywhere you turn, literally, you're confronted by the same level, if not a greater level of ignorance?
I mean, the show is called Surrounded, and you are literally surrounded by 20 of them. And actually the worst ones, as I discovered in hindsight, the most openly white supremacist of the bunch were actually behind me. So I didn't see them for a lot of the taping. So when I watched it back on YouTube, you can see them kind of pouting and preening and making faces and gestures. They were actually behind me. So I missed a lot of their facial expressions as I was winding them up. How do you prepare for that? A lot of people have told me that they haven't been able to watch all hour, 40 minutes. They watch it in like portions because it gets their blood pressure up. And I was like, how do you think I felt? I was sitting there for the whole time. We got one toilet break in the middle in which I was able to go, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah.
And then go back into the lion's den. It was this very strange experience. I knew it was going to be weird. It was going to be different to anything I'd done, but it's like nothing I've ever done in my life, personally or professionally. To be in that room, in that studio in LA, with 20 of them, and one after another, they're each crazier than the next. And I've talked about Jubilee. It's been out now for a couple of weeks. But what's interesting is you guys are the first people I'm talking to since I saw the latest Jubilee. A couple of days back, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks, he just did a Jubilee that just came out a couple of days ago on one populist versus 20 Republicans and Democrats. And I noticed again that he has some normal people in there. And people keep asking, why did you go sit down with fascists? I didn't know they'd all be fascists. I knew there'd be a couple of crazies. Sam Cedar from Majority Report did it earlier this year, a good friend of mine. He said, you should do it. And I did it. And he had a couple of nut jobs, but some normal people. I seemed to be the only person who went on Jubilee, and they were all nut jobs.
They were all there. Yeah.
I watched it and I was thinking, they weren't ready for that DEI. And by DEI, I mean, that's education and intelligence. Like, they were not ready for all of what you brought to them. But Medhi, the thing that I am concerned about is what I heard you say after. And I think many of us are roaming this country right now with some of that same anxiety. Talk about how you felt when you left that set.
Not safe, deeply depressed, shocked. I and a producer and a security guard got the hell out of Dodge. People say, oh, did you chat to them afterwards? No, of course I didn't chat to them afterwards. And there was one guy as he was leaving, one of them leant over. They were all leaving the set, and then I left for a separate door. And he leant over and he whispered, I wouldn't deport you. And I was like, thanks. That's great.
Okay.
That's very charitable of you. No, I got the hell out of there. And in fact, this was taped the same day that Trump bombed Iran. So I didn't even have time to collect my thoughts. I had a producer telling me, while you've been taping this, Trump has bombed Iran. So we just kind of spent Saturday night covering that. So it was later on when I went out to dinner with some family and friends in LA where I was just telling them what happened, that it really was hitting me. These people were insane. What did I just go through? And now I've watched it back a couple of times. And the point I have to make, and this is going to sound, I don't really care if it sounds snowflakey, but it's kind of, as a journalist and a debater, and Andrew, you're very kind about what I brought to the debate. I enjoy doing debates. I don't have many skills in life. I'm pretty good at arguing. I've made a career out of it.
You are
excellent. I have very few skills in life, so I'm happy to brag about the one that I clearly do have. And it doesn't always work in my favor, ask my wife. But I enjoy doing it. And I agreed to do the debate because I believe in debates. And I've written a book about debating and all of that. And that's great. And I watch it back and say, hey, there's a viral clip of me owning some guy. Great. But put that all to one side. Take off the journalist hat, the debater hat. I am a brown Muslim immigrant in the United States. Nobody should have to sit through an hour, 40 minutes of 20 people, 17, I think of them white, saying, get out of our country. You're not a real American. You can't be an American. You hate our country. We're fascists, etc., etc. That I want to say unacceptable, but it's not unacceptable. Clearly, it is acceptable in America today, and why I still think there is value to having done it, and I'm on the fence over the good and bad of having done it. The one clear benefit of doing it is it really is eyes wide open moment for a lot of liberals, a lot of white liberals who've been in denial. I spent much of 2024 people telling me, oh, it won't be that bad. Oh, the Trump people aren't that bad. Angela, you and I have had these discussions before in the past. Tiffany and I have had many discussions on this. Like remember 2016, is it economic anxiety or is it racial resentment? It's like, go watch Jubilee. It's racial resentment. They don't give a shit about the economy. They don't give a shit about the Constitution. They don't give a shit about democracy. All they wanted to talk about was immigration and race. That's all. They didn't care about anything else I brought to the party. That was it. And for me, that's a kind of case closed, really.
Yeah. I wonder how much of you thinks that this was the right's sentiment on steroids versus like this is what you will encounter when you encounter Donald Trump voters in today's day and age.
I mean, look, I'm not going to say all Donald Trump voters are like the people in that room. Clearly not. I have people in my family who are Donald Trump voters, unfortunately. But
Wait a minute. We can't blow past that one.
I'm having an issue, but
Angela, 1 in 3, 1 in 4 Muslims, depending on which polls you believe, voted for Donald Trump. It's very scary. There are people in the Muslim community who I know well, who are good people, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I voted for Trump. I'm like, what? No, that's just I know there's a smaller proportion of the black community, but in the Muslim brown, not the black Muslim community, in the brown Muslim community, the Pakistani Indian community and Arab American community in places like Dearborn, Michigan, a lot of people unfortunately bought the bullshit about Trump being anti-war and Trump being better for the economy and voted for Trump. So I'm not of the position that every Trump voter is a racist. I am of the position that every Trump voter is fine with his racism. But the people in that room, I think what's scary, Andrew, to answer your question, is a lot of them turned out to be kind of influencers online. They weren't just ordinary folks. They have like a rap online. And I think that makes it, in one sense, it makes it better. They're not just random 20 people who picked off the street. Yeah. On the other hand, it's scarier because these people exist online. They're doing very well online. They've got big followings. I'm sure Jubilee will have helped them grow their followings. They are winning arguments online with certain subsections of the population who are going down these rabbit holes and getting red-pilled. So in that sense, like the way in which white supremacy and white supremacist propaganda is so organized and so mainstreamed, that is very worrying. Like the stuff those people said to me in that room, Americans have been saying for decades, you both know better than me. But they didn't say it so proudly and loudly in front of a camera. That was what was... And by the way, one guy claims to have got fired, which I think is false. The guy who said he was a fascist since that taping. But my question is, so the rest of them, their employers are fine?
Oh, yeah. Very much so.
Fire all of them. Native Land Pod is a production of iHeartRadio in partnership with Reason Choice Media. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.